The Grenke Chess Classic, February 2nd through February 9th, 2015. World-class tournament. World champion Magnus Carlsen is there. Also, Vishy Anand, former world champion, is there. Many other great players. Levin Aronian, a great world-class player. Mickey Adams from England. Fabiano Caruana, Italian-American. Nadich, top German player. Don't miss any of the action. And here are the standings after 5 rounds in the Grenke Chess Classic 2015. Nadich from Germany and Magnus Carlsen from Norway tied at 3.5. Magnus has won 2 in a row. Fabiano Caruana, Italian-American, with 3. Mickey Adams from England, Bacro from France, and Aronian from Armenia with 2.5. Vishy Anand has 1.5, and Baramidze has 1. And there are the standings after 5 rounds in the Grenke Chess Classic 2015. Hi folks, John Cordisco here. Round 5 of the Grenke Chess Classic 2015. Between someone that needs no introduction in the chess world as white, Magnus Carlsen, current world champion from Norway, and David Baramidze, I believe it's pronounced, as black. Let's get to it. It's going to be a close reload. Bishop, a6, bishop. This is one of those games where you lose and you really can't pick out a spot where you missed. You messed up, you missed. It's one of those things where you're just being slowly ground by the superior player. Knight f6. Believe it or not, this is all book up until move 18. That's how far the reload paid. d6, this is all typical stuff. c3, escape for the bishop. Castles. h3, doesn't want that pesky bishop. That pin is really annoying. Knight b8. Now, supposedly that's book, but it doesn't list it in one of the top 3 moves on the computer. Knight to a5. But knight to b8 for black. Then d4. He brings the knight around the other way. Knight comes up. Bishop b7. Bishop c2. Quarter pawn advantage for white. Rook e8. And knight f1. You see that a lot in the reload where the queen's knight will come up looking for to go here. Bishop f8, interesting. Knight g3 as the plan. g6 and a4. Now, believe it or not, folks, we're still in book. These guys have prepared all of this. I mean, some of my games don't last this long. Bishop g7. Queen d3 the computer likes a lot. I don't know why. I don't care for that move that much. Queen e2 and bishop g5. He decides to go bishop to d3. Pawn up, bishop g5. Finally gets that bishop developed. Computer likes queen c7, queen b6, queen e7. All those I think are good moves. But he went knight f8. Now, the computer didn't hate that. I guess it's part of a line, an obscure line somewhere they consider book. Queen to d2. Finally gets the queen and the rook's connected. And knight e6. That was the whole point of going to f8, to chase that bishop off. Bishop h6. Knight to d7. Bishop takes h6. Black decide knight to d7. Bishop, it's like they're just maneuvering. Bishop finally takes, queen takes, queen f6, rook over. Now, I think the kid, he's just rated just under 2,600 for black, is doing okay. We're on move 22 against Magnus Carlsen, of all people, who lost 2 days ago. He beat Vishy Anand, former world champion, yesterday. And now this kid's got to play him today, and I think he's doing okay. Rook a to d8. d5. C takes, E takes, Queen F4. Nice move there. Obviously, you can't take the knight because the queen's hanging. Queen takes, knight takes. It's almost an even game. Move 25. He's holding his own against Magnus. Interesting. Computer said, what happens if E took? That after D takes, rook takes, pawn takes, knight E2, bishop takes, pawn takes. With a huge advantage, of course, you're up a piece. Knight takes F4, knight to E4. Another good spot for that knight. Actually, black's got a nice knight in F4. Both the white's knights are doing okay. Bishop takes pawn. A takes, knight takes. And then rook E6. Half a point advantage, a little more for white, nothing really serious. If bishop had taken F3 instead, after pawn takes, rook E7, and even game. Rook to E6, knight comes up. This is a lot more complicated than it looks. F5 is getting his pawns up. Knight hits the rook. Rook goes to E7. Now, the last couple of moves, black got pushed back a little bit. White's got a hell of an advantage here. Not a huge advantage, but it's a lot easier to play, I think. If he had taken the knight, bishop, of course, pins against the king. Bishop C2. Bishop takes check. And, of course, white wins. After rook to E7, G3, chases the knight off. Bishop takes, pawn takes, rook F8. Not bad. Knight takes, rook takes, B4. Now here we are in a position where you're this young kid playing Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen is young too, but he's the world champion. And you've got in this position here, and you're really okay. It's a half a point advantage for white. And you're on move 35. I'm not sure. He's a little bit pressed for time, but nothing really major, I don't think. Knight to F6. He's looking to trade now. He wants to draw this. It'll be a great result with black against Magnus. Knight to D6. Magnus says, no, I'm not trading. I'm not getting into a rook ending with his pawns. It's a drawn game. I'm not doing it. Rook to F3. Knight takes. Rook takes the other pawn. And C4. Now the computer only shows 3/4 of a pawn advantage for white. Magnus has got these two runners right here. What to do? What to do? Rook to H4. Knight to D6. Now it's interesting. It's slowly going down. But the move that he made was originally in the top 3 moves for the computer. Number 1 move is knight to E8. He goes knight to H5. And it jumps. Not a ton. About a 1.5 advantage for white. After knight to E8, knight to E4. Of course, he's not going to trade. King to G7. And I think black can hold this. But after knight to H5, B5, here it comes. Knight to F4, knight's got to get back in the game. Either through here, maybe help out with the pawns. B6, wow. Rook checks. King F1, now we're on move 42, so they're not moving just to move for time. Rook to H4, he's threatening mate again. He doesn't want to go back to G1, and it'll be in the draw. So Magnus goes F3. Rook checks. King F2 only move. Rook H2. King to G1. Now it's a lot different. That pawn isn't there. Rook C2. That check wouldn't have done any good. Rook C2 to get behind the pawn. King to H1, but that knight. This rook is guarding the knight. The knight's guarding the pawn. And one more move here, the knight's guarding that pawn. Beautiful coordination of pieces. Knight to H3. And look how smoothly this goes. Knight to E4. But in the last few moves, black has totally lost it. Rook takes. Rook checks. King G7. It's a bunch of winning moves, but rook to B1 is enough. He can't stop the pawn. What can he do? So, black resigns. 2 wins in a row for Magnus Carlsen. Just one of those games where he didn't make any huge blunders, but tiny, tiny inaccuracies built up over time. And he'll go back on this game and he'll try to figure out where the hell he went wrong. But it's going to be hard if you're playing Carlsen. His pieces just coordinate beautifully. Anyway, folks, that's one of the games from round 5. I hope you enjoyed it. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.